This is 6.1, part 3. We're just going to finish question 3 over here. We're almost done. We just had to solve for t. Just to make this a little bit more clean here, some of you may be confused. We see the parabola opens from the bottom, yet our a value doesn't seem to be negative. It actually is. I just didn't factor out the negative from here. If I do that, and it's the same thing, this is the same idea, and you could have done the problem without doing that, but just for completeness here, if I did ask you to factor fully, you'd take out that negative from here, and you get negative 5t plus 4, and then t minus 5. So if you don't fully factor in your factored form, you might get a misrepresentation of what your a is if you don't notice that. So you'd have to expand to see what your a actually is when you do this. But either way, we could have just solved by just taking this over here. So we're going to get 5t plus 4 is equal to 0. And so we'll get 5t is equal to minus 4 divided by 5 divided by 5. Cross that out. So we get t is equal to negative 4 over 5 seconds, which seems a little odd, but let's continue anyways. Our next t value will be t is equal to t minus 5 is equal to 0 when t is equal to 5. Right? You can go back and plug that in. 5 minus 5 is 0. So we have two values. We have t is equal to 5 or t is equal to negative 4 over 5. In the previous example, we were able to use both values. But now in this example here, it doesn't seem to make sense. Is there such thing as a negative second? Can you have negative 4 over 5? Not really. You can see our parabola. It is a parabola, but we're not really using this other side here. We're just starting off on our cliff and focusing on this side over here. So in a way, this side would be kind of like a restriction. We don't really use it in our parabola since it doesn't make sense for this real-world situation. So we're going to go ahead and select this t value here. They are both correct solutions for a parabola if it was a complete one, but for this particular scenario, the best solution is t is equal to 5. So you would write a therefore statement. I'm just going to do that over here where there's some room. So therefore, the ball will be 20 meters below the cliff. Don't say at 20 meters because it's not at 20 meters. It'll be 20 meters below the cliff, which is 100 meters. It'll be 20 meters below cliff. At 5 seconds. So it'll take the ball about 5 seconds to be 20 meters below the cliff. And so what we've done in this lesson is we learned what it means to find the zeros. Finding the zeros is essentially where your, let's go back here. Finding the zeros is where you have the parabola hitting the x and y intercepts. And what that basically, the x-intercept, so hitting the x axis. So what that means is when you find your zeros, you're finding your roots, your x-intercepts, or solutions, you're solving. You can do that using several methods. We saw factoring as a method. You can also do it by graphing. We've actually already done that in previous lessons, but I've included some videos on the Google Classroom that I do want you to go back and watch just to see how you can solve by graphing. So basically, put your parabolas on a graph, see where they hit the x-axis, those two parts or one part, you'll see later on, if at all, are your zeros. So what we've done is we've done some practical applications of this where we set up equations where we had a height, for example, that we wanted to find, or we had a height that we had assigned and we needed to find a time, so we had to solve for t, and there's really no way to do this because it's not a simple linear equation like you see here when solving, so we have to solve by one of the methods we learned for quadratics, which is solving by factoring, or you could use graphing, but we could solve by factoring here, a lot less work and more accurate that way, especially if graphing is not your forte. So we created a quadratic relation and we solved by factoring to solve this problem. And we did the same idea over here as well. All it requires, all these word problems require though, is some interpretation of what's going on by including some sort of sketch, for example. That can help, and then planning out your work as you see in the steps here. So please do watch other videos that I posted on the Google Classroom. Do the homework associated with this particular lesson. The more practice you get, the better you're going to get at this. So try a variety of problems. Try the YouTube problems that I post, pause them, and try them yourself. Then go back and verify your work. It'll be difficult at first, but then the more practice you get, the easier it'll become. You'll see that the blockage is preventing you from getting it, or from this making sense, will eventually kind of just slowly disappear over time as you do more and more practice. But it takes practice. That's all it's going to take. No excuses. Work hard at it. Watch the videos. Look at the textbook. Look at other resources, and you will get this.